These are the stories of America's crime-fighting nerve centers.
He's a suspicious person.
Surveillance video. Tracking systems.
Suspect was last seen leaving the rear entrance of the club.
Facial recognition. And gunshot detectors. It all comes in here.
The Real-Time Crime Center has helped to revolutionize how we investigate cases.
So police can solve crimes out there. Right now on Real-Time Crime. In Albany, New York, a chilling execution shocks police.
That was one of the most brutal and graphic things that I've ever seen.
His agonal breathing, very light pulse. Yeah.
What we want to do next is find out who the registered owner of that vehicle is. The type of depravity that we were dealing with. You want to get that person in custody as soon as you can.
And in Fort Worth, Texas, a dangerous ex-con goes on a one-man crime spree.
He was no stranger to violent crime.
Yeah, I kind of had a weird feeling about this man. He made me feel kind of scared.
It was a very dangerous situation. He's going to kill somebody.
This was an individual we needed to stop, and we need to stop him soon.
The city of Albany is a combination of residential and commercial businesses. I say it's about 100,000 people who reside within the city of Albany, and it almost doubles in population throughout the day, people who are coming into Albany to work.
The crime rate has spiked in the past few years as far as homicides and other serious offenses like robberies, assaults, and things of that nature. I think the increase has been attributed to the prevalence of gangs in the city.
Albany police are battling crime with their Real-Time Crime Center.
The Capital Region Crime Analysis Center has roughly 100 or so cameras, as well as license plate readers strategically placed throughout the city. We're able to not only see them in real time, the live feed of them, but we can also go back and review any footage that may have happened.
A lot of times you may not have a witness to that particular crime, and your surveillance is going to be your eyes for what happened.
About just past 1 a.m., pretty quiet morning, not too many cars out on the street, a few pedestrians walking here and there. And then there's a vehicle that pulls up. The passenger starts patting him down, almost like he's looking for something or he is going to rob him. The driver comes around the back side of the vehicle. He starts to actually make him take his clothes off. The suspect retreats back to his vehicle. You think that they are just exchanging words, and you do feel like the situation's just over with.
My jaw just hit the floor. I was speechless for a couple seconds. And I had to regain my composure and remember that, hey, I'm a police officer, I'm a detective. Like, get your act together.
That was one of the most brutal and graphic things that I've ever seen in my career.
It can be nerve-wracking to wait for the officers to get there and not want to run out of the office yourself and be there quicker.
Eastbound on First Street, black four-door sedan, occupied one time.
When you're watching our victim lay there, you just hope and pray that the officers get there in time. It's almost a sigh of relief to see them get there.
13-843-01.
They find our victim lying on his back in a pool of blood. He is still breathing a little bit.
Still like agonal.
Okay.
There's brain matter.
Yeah, brain matter, he's agonal breathing, very light pulse.
Once EMS arrives, they do pronounce him dead.
So we've got unknown black male in underwear only. Underwear is pulled down by his knee. Brain matter at the back of his head. We got a shotgun shell.
108 Marguerite, well.
We want to start to gather as much evidence as we can as quickly as possible.
Okay.
I don't want to touch it.
No.
The victim, he didn't have a wallet, he didn't have an ID.
As officers secure the scene, a woman approaches them.
Hi, what's up? Ma'am, what's up? What are you talking about?
Who is that? Someone just got shot.
They encounter a female who identified herself as Kayla Treywick. She stated that her boyfriend, Charles Gibson Jr., left her apartment to go to the store. She heard a loud bang, and he never returned.
Somebody just texted me and told me my man was dead.
What was it?
Somebody just texted me off his number and said he was dead.
Easy.
It was actually the killer texting from the victim's cell phone.
Kayla continued to receive text messages from Charles' phone. This is the first time that I've seen someone taunting them about the fact that they just killed someone. Some of these messages start to make references to Troy gang members that had been deceased. We thought that maybe this could have been like a gang-related hit or something of that nature. Maybe it was a case of mistaken identity.
Kayla, control your breathing, okay?
It was just awful because she was beginning to fear for her life at that point.
Once we realized the just type of depravity that we were dealing with, it really ratchets up your investigation because you want to get that person in custody as soon as you can.
I was asleep. I was in the bed, and I'm like, the police is at my door. They told me Charles was deceased. That was the most devastating thing in my life right there. And then stripping them naked at the same time, that's humiliation. That's humiliation. You don't do that. You did that for what? Humiliation, and then just kill him. Just kill him. My brother wasn't just my brother. He was a father figure type. Me and Charles have a bond like nobody else will ever have.
They killed our brother. I didn't want to believe it. I wanted to say, no, they got the wrong person. It's not my brother. Charles, beautiful soul. He would give you the shirt off his back if he could. Beautiful personality, funny, very giving, very caring.
Back in the real-time crime center, detectives turn their attention to the footage and study the killer.
Unfortunately, he's wearing a black mask covering most of his face.
So we're looking for anything that will assist us in identifying the suspect.
We see that the hoodie was gray, the shorts were gray. We were able to see the colors of the sneakers.
Our suspect was essentially a shorter, very stocky individual. Besides what the suspects are wearing, you do have the vehicle that is stopped smack dab in the middle of the frame, and it's an excellent lead to go off of.
And we're hoping that we're able to get a license plate off of the vehicle because at this point, we still don't know where the suspect is or whether or not someone else may be in danger.
At the real-time crime center, detectives try to identify the suspect's vehicle.
Unfortunately, we were not able to make out a plate, which was frustrating because we knew that that car was going to be key to actually identifying who these suspects were.
The next steps now are to track that vehicle's travels throughout the city in hopes that you can pick up a plate from one of our different cameras. So at some point before the incident taking place, we're able to find the video going westbound of Livingston Ave through an intersection. And unfortunately, at this point, we still can't get the plate.
As we're cycling through City Cam at 1:12 p.m., we're able to pick it up, so we were very excited about that.
And it's at this point that we realize that it's heading towards an intersection where we have a license plate reader.
I said to myself, please turn north. And sure enough, it turned north. And as a detective wanting something to happen in video surveillance, and it does, you just jump out of your seat for joy.
What we want to do next is find out who the registered owner of that vehicle is. Something that we will put the plate into our database. Came back to a female named Courtney, and we find that she lives locally in the city of Troy. We don't believe our suspect to be a female, so we know we have some more work to do.
The vehicle was stopped a few weeks prior. The patrol officer put a name in the call ticket of the person who was driving, and that person was Alamnion Hall.
Real-time crime officers learn Alamion Hall is dating the vehicle's owner, Courtney.
The crime analysts scour through criminal histories. Paul was actually on parole for being in possession of a loaded firearm.
We were able to find several Facebook accounts that were attributed to him. The person appeared to have the same build as the suspect that we saw on the surveillance camera from the homicide. We believe that Alamion Hall is our suspect. We were able to see that his mother lived at an address located in Troy. We knew that there was a convenience store around that area where his mother lived, and that had a surveillance camera. So we took a shot of requesting that video to see whether he went to that convenience store the night before he traveled into Albany.
A couple hours before the homicide takes place, we have video of a vehicle pulling up, seemingly matching the description of our suspect vehicle. A man exits and walks into the store. We can see that he's wearing similar clothing to our suspect. The gray top, the gray shorts. We are able to determine that it's the same, stocky build that our suspect has.
I refer back to the social media pages for Alamion Hall. And I can see that I'm looking at the same person here.
This video is huge for us. We see that he arrives in the same vehicle and wearing the exact same clothing that he was wearing during the homicide. And most importantly, he's not wearing a mask at this point, so we're able to get a clear shot of his face.
A judge signs off on a search warrant.
It was classified as a high-risk warrant. The decision was made to have our SWAT team execute the search warrant.
We see a white female exit the location that we had surveillance on. She gets into the suspect vehicle.
472, we're at Congress in Newark.
There is a traffic stop conducted.
Hey, ma'am, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Turn the car off for me?
Sure.
Okay. You want to put your cigarette out, step out of the car?
Sure.
Okay. Just step to the back of the car for me.
Okay.
You got a license?
In the glove box.
What's your name? Okay. So this car was involved with something that happened last night. We have a search warrant for the car, so we're going to seize the car. We're going to tow it.
She let us know that she was communicating with him shortly before the traffic stops. And oddly enough, the location he was at was that same convenience store that we had seen him at prior on the video surveillance. First thing we have to do is we have to get officers there as quickly as possible.
Our network of cameras really helps our ability to track anybody in real time.
Real-time crime center analysts bring up street cameras from the convenience store.
We see another vehicle pull up. At that point, we realize that it's our suspect, Mr. Hall. It's my belief that he may have seen some of the unmarked vehicles in the area, and he starts to take off in a jog.
It's very anxious moments. You're hoping that officers get there in time.
We're dealing with somebody who is a very, very violent criminal, and we needed to act quickly to get him off the street.
Report 120 West 81st Street, Telex 31 clear.
When officers arrived at that location, they saw Lamian Hall. He attempted to flee them. You were able to hear the transmissions of the detective saying, "Don't move." He's got a gun in his hand, and we're sitting there listening on the other end like, what's going on here? Did he shoot an officer? Did he get shot?
When somebody got on this air and said one in custody, it was just an intense moment of relief.
Inside the car, we recovered the victim's clothing. We also found a debit card in the name of Charles Gibson.
Police question Alamion Hall.
What's going on, man? How are you? Jay Wilson, the detective with Albany PD, some partner, Detective Bernanke.
At first, he was a little standoffish. He stated that there was a lot of frustrations going on in his life.
And where I worked at Albany Empire Deli, where I worked at, I made that job, took that whole job from top to bottom, and they fired me.
I kind of sat back and I wanted to build a relationship with him and just listen to him. I wanted to get Alamnion's trust.
Once he felt comfortable enough with us, I felt like he might be ready to confess. We decided that we should show him a still from the surveillance footage from the homicide.
We got to talk about this.
So what's up with it?
We got to talk about what happened there.
Who is that?
Well, you said that you're truthful.
You said you wanted to be truthful.
Okay, so who is that?
Well, I think all three of us know who that is, Mr. Hall.
So tell me who it is.
But we need to know why this happened.
Tell me who it is.
And I think you can explain it.
Tell me who it is.
I mean, I don't want to butcher your name, but I would say this is Mr. Hall.
Yup, I killed that man right there.
Yes. Why did you kill him?
Because I'm hurt.
Over what?
Did you know him?
All these deaths out here.
I was not expecting him to so readily confess that way, but he did.
All these killings, all these boys that got killed out here.
Mr. Hall.
No, listen to me. All these killings out here, like all my old men that got killed, bro, is from Albany. I killed him, yeah. So what?
He's mentioned things about gang members from Troy who had lost their lives. So he's almost saying, okay, well, they're taking people away from us. I'm going to take people away from them.
I just want to know how it got to the point where, like, did you know him prior to this happening?
I didn't know who he was, bro. I argue with this bitch all the time, and she said, I don't want to talk about it.
He claims that he did not know Charles Gibson prior. It was just totally random.
When he sat down, what did you do?
I killed him. What do you
With
mean?
what?
I shot him. Why?
How many times did you shoot?
Once.
Where?
In his head.
I just saw somebody who was cold. It didn't bother him that he just rolled up and killed a complete stranger. The second we asked who the passenger was, he stopped speaking to us and he asked for an attorney. Alamnion Hall ended up taking a plea deal in this case where he was sentenced to 25 years to life. It's my hope that in 25 years, Detective Wilson and I will be at his parole hearing, reminding the parole board of how brutal this killing was, and that Alamnion Hall should spend the rest of his life behind bars for taking the life of an innocent man.
Courtney, Alamnion Hall's girlfriend, we were able to clear her of any wrongdoing.
The investigation is still ongoing regarding the passenger of that vehicle. That case will never get closed until that person is held accountable.
It's always going to stick with me. I don't think that there's going to be too many other cases that are going to be as extreme and graphic as that. The Crime Analysis Center was instrumental as far as having access to those city cameras, able to get descriptions of not only the suspects, but also the vehicle.
The surveillance in this case played such a huge role in a successful outcome and get justice for the family in this case.
I don't have his presence. I don't have him. I miss him every day of my life. Just do what I have to do to just relieve the stress, because I will never have my brother back again.
I remember him a sweet, kind person, a beautiful soul. A beautiful soul. If Charles was here today with me, I would want to tell him that I'm proud of him. I'm proud of him.
Fort Worth is a big city. I mean, it's one of the top 15 population-wise cities in the United States. So you see robberies, homicides increasing, and we have to find new ways to combat those things.
Since I've been a police officer, we've gone from a population of about 250,000 to now close to 1 million. We have over 330 square miles of jurisdiction that we patrol, and we have to do it with just under 1,900 officers.
Fort Worth police used their real-time crime center as a frontline defense in the war on crime.
We started the Crime Center back in 2012. I was the first person to be in the Crime Center. As of present day, it's a 24/7 operation with 14 officers in there. Essentially, it's a centralized unit with police officers generating intelligence in regards to what is occurring in the city at any given moment.
I've been a law enforcement officer for 32 years, and I've been a detective for 15 years. And the concept of the RTCC is almost on the same level as when fingerprints were invented. Those cameras, they don't have an agenda, they don't lie.
It's become such an integral part of what we do in Fort Worth on a daily basis that I couldn't imagine what we would do without it. I was actively monitoring the cameras in the city and just keeping an eye on what was going on at any given time. There was one area in particular on the east side of Fort Worth where we had a camera to spot illegal dumping. So as I was watching the cameras, I noticed a car pull up. He wasn't dumping anything.
Analysts at the Real-Time Crime Center focus on this partially dressed man.
He just started acting in a very suspicious manner. He would get into the car, get out of the car. We zoomed in the camera on the license plate of the car itself to see if we can identify the car. And something jumped out to us immediately. It didn't belong on that car. It registered to a completely different type of vehicle. So that immediately set off warning bells to me and everybody else in the crime center, because we realized there's something more going on here. We called uniformed officers to go out there to investigate. Well, as soon as the officer arrived, he took off, and we knew that we were dealing with something else entirely. It was about that moment that somebody in the crime center realized he has the same exact description of the person that did a car theft the night before.
Fort Worth Police Operator, I'm 917. Yes, can you please help me? Someone just stole my car out of my driveway. I've been having trouble with this guy. He's my grandson. And he come back and stole my car.
What's your grandson's name?
Jeremiah Stevenson.
We pulled up his driver's license image, and then we compared it to the footage that we got on camera. And we immediately realized this is the same guy.
Stevenson speeds away from patrol officers.
We are not in pursuit. We are running code to the median belt to meet 100 kilometers.
Now, the crime center goes into a different mode. So what we were doing is we're monitoring cameras ahead of the pursuit to anticipate where he's going to go next. This is in the middle of the day. People are going to lunch. School kids are getting out. It was a very dangerous situation. So you have to constantly reevaluate, is this more dangerous chasing this person? Or should I just let him go because he's going to kill somebody?
The chase continues. Stevenson shows no sign of giving up. Then, analysts watch in horror as Stevenson drives the stolen car into oncoming traffic.
Car turning southbound Beach in the northbound lane. Southbound Beach, northbound lane.
Yeah, go ahead and terminate the pursuit. You're being too reckless.
They ended up terminating the pursuit because it was just too dangerous to keep pursuing him based on the way he was driving.
Avenue J, at McKinsey and Avenue J.
But several minutes after they had called it off, somebody got on the radio and made a point. Wait a minute, that vehicle, if that's the same license plate, that vehicle was involved in a robbery the day before.
Actor in a robbery in the Valero last night.
Vehicle description.
So everybody went looking for this vehicle again, but it was already gone. We're not sure where it went.
And that description you gave of the long-haired white male is exactly what was driving that car.
Real-time crime center analysts study the surveillance footage recovered from the robbery.
We realized it was the same person that did the robbery the night before.
He had walked into a convenience store and walked up to the clerk and point blank shot at her. And it was only because she turned her head at the last second that he missed. And that's how he announced a robbery. So now this was an individual we needed to stop, and we needed to stop him soon.
We pulled up his criminal history, and we realized he was no stranger to violent crime.
Jeremiah Stevenson had just finished a stretch in prison for aggravated robbery.
This is intelligence, which changes the dynamic of what we're doing even further. He's a very dangerous individual that you got to get in custody as quick as you can.
"32 hours after the first shooting, police are called to another violent assault.
I came in to work, and the midnight shift told us that same description, same suspect, had done another robbery and shot somebody. So at this point, it's all hands on deck. We go into a mode to where we're not just watching cameras, but we're orchestrating where people need to go.
Officers are dispatched to the scene, a McDonald's drive-thru.
I went to the McDonald's, a lone female, and a red Toyota had been shot in the upper body.
Okay, your bleeding has stopped. All right? So I'm going to leave it alone. We're going to have you seated until MedStar gets here, all right? I'm going to come over to this other side and see if I can see an exit wound, okay? Okay. I don't see anything.
I noticed that there were surveillance cameras on the building. One of them actually pointed right at the board where the drive-thru is.
Someone on foot came up to her and shot her. I need to get camera footage to see where it happened. Yeah.
I looked at the surveillance video. And it was immediately apparent that this is Jeremiah Stevenson, and he was pacing around. There were several cars that came through. He didn't approach those cars. He was being selective. The Toyota pulled up to the menu board. So as he gets to the car door, you can see him pointing something towards the car. and that's when the shot is fired.
Paramedics treat the victim at the scene before taking her to the hospital. But incredibly, her wounds are not life-threatening.
I knew that this guy was preying on strangers, and he had no qualms about pulling a trigger.
When you watch that footage of him basically stalking people going through the drive-thru, it's chilling. You're dealing with a person that is more dangerous than the average criminal. This person absolutely has no regard for human life whatsoever.
5 hours after the McDonald's shooting, there's yet another random attack.
I was stopping at a convenience store. I was going to go get a soda and go to the ATM machine. I got out of my car, and there was a man standing on the side of the building. And I could feel him kind of following me around. I kind of had a weird feeling about this man. He made me feel kind of scared. I wanted to get out of that store. When I got into my vehicle, I just immediately locked the door. He was outside the vehicle by the passenger door and tried to get into it. And then I reached up the back of my head and I saw blood. My main thing was just get out of there. And next thing I know, there was just a lot of police officers around me.
When I rolled up, she was sitting up talking, but you could see she was bleeding from her head. I went over to the passenger window and could see that it had been hit 4 times. There were 3 powder burn marks. The 4th one had cracked the window. There was a 5th hole in the window that actually went through and pierced her head.
I got out of the vehicle and was talking with him, and I'm like, I'm shot. I got hit by a bullet. He said, you still got the bullet in your head. I said, what? I think the only thing that really saved me was I ducked down when I realized it was a real gun. And instead of hitting me in my jaw, it hit me on the side of my head.
When we looked at the surveillance video at the convenience store, Jeremiah Stevenson's standing behind her in line. He watched her and he followed her out. And he did just what a predator would do. And it was amazing that only one round of all the rounds he fired into that glass, only one round penetrated the glass and the window tint. We ramped everything up because how many more is he going to do? How many more people is he going to shoot before we can get him into custody? We need to have him now.
With a second gunshot victim now on the way to the hospital, the Real-Time Crime Center is in a race against time to capture Jeremiah Stevenson.
There was nothing else happening in the city that we were concerned with or even looking into. Everybody in the crime center was focused on doing everything that we could to find that person. We had a large number of cameras in that general area, so we're reviewing them to try to find out, where did he run? Did he get into another car? So all these different things that we're trying to generate, and it's a very stressful situation. You can't miss anything, because if you miss one small detail, then that could lead to something catastrophic.
As the information got out to the different divisions within the police department, more people were jumping on board to try to help us out.
We were calling in SRT teams, or special response team. Narcotics officers were out there searching in plainclothes. Our SWAT team was out there. We had helicopters. We had K9s. Everybody was looking for this person. It was a full-blown manhunt at that point.
As the hunt for Jeremiah Stevenson intensifies, the suspect changes tactics and takes off running. He was spotted just south of the McDonald's drive-thru, where he attempted a carjacking earlier that morning.
We were able to narrow down that he went through what we believe was a trucking yard. So we flooded the area with officers. There was probably 12 or 15 officers at the time looking through the yard.
We're monitoring every radio channel involved in this situation to listen to see what people are talking about. And a plainclothes officer came on the radio and said he spotted him walking down the railroad tracks.
We knew he was still armed, so we're not quite sure what this guy's capable of, but we were preparing for the worst.
One of the plainclothes officers was in a truck and was watching Jeremiah Stevenson walk along the railroad tracks. He started to walk towards the undercover officer in his truck.
Was he going to try and take our officer as another victim? We didn't know, but we weren't going to let him get to that point.
So the officers decided to turn the tables and surprise him. They were not going to allow him to surprise the officers.
He didn't see that officer sitting in that car, and he walked out into the open.
Fantastic.
It was a very big sigh of relief when we realized he was in custody, because we knew he wasn't going to hurt anybody else at that point.
When Jeremiah was caught, he had a handgun in his pocket. It was a .22 caliber revolver. It didn't surprise me at all when the crime scene officer said, well, he's got a manifesto in his backpack. I said, let me see this manifesto. He titled it Navy SEAL Militia. And in this manifesto, he said, get a car, change the license plates. Go to a grocery store, watch an ATM, wait for a lone female. And then it said, as soon as you can, buy an AR-10, go Navy SEAL Militia, and start robbing banks. And that was his plan that he had in his backpack. He was one of the most dangerous predators that we had dealt with in a long time. So now comes the interview part. The interview room is on another part of the building from where our desks are, but we can still watch the interview rooms through video circuit.
He was sat in the chair. He started looking around in the room. It's like he's sizing the room up. He walks over to the door, and we have a peephole that looks into the room.
And one of the detectives was watching him and suddenly said, hey, took his handcuffs off. He's trying to escape.
It was like, dude, what are you doing? Are you kidding me?
Nobody tries to escape from the interview room. I mean, it's not like you're going to go anywhere anyways. You're still inside a police station. So he got him situated back down. And I went in to talk to him.
We're not getting any more silliness, are we?
I just had one question. I'm just curious.
Sure.
If I would have got through there, is that front door? Would I been able to get out of that front door?
The first words out of his mouth were, is that door locked? Can I get out that door?
This front door open and locked.
He still wanted to know whether or not he had a chance to escape our building. And I've had a lot of people say a lot of things to me over the years in the interview room, but I can't remember anyone ever saying, is that door locked? How can I get out that door?
This is the part where you want to start showing a little bit of remorse, okay? Because I know what's happened on the videos.
Those videos? More than one video?
Oh, yeah.
The interview really didn't give us a whole lot of information other than the fact that we saw how much of a sociopath he really was, and we saw how dangerous he really was, because he showed no sympathy whatsoever. He showed no remorse whatsoever.
That was a very close call for me. Yeah, my life could have been ended. If I would have went to that ATM machine, like I was going to, he would have shot me in that store and I would have been dead. I could have been gone in that one instant. My oldest granddaughter got the call that I was shot. She thought I was dead. The other thing is, the other lady that got shot that morning before me was a friend of my daughter's, Geraldine. She still lives with the bullet to this day in her.
These women that he shot, they were just going about their normal everyday business. If we had not stopped him, he was going to kill somebody. He'd already tried 2-3 times. And it was only a matter of time before he turned an aggravated robbery into a capital murder. The jury sentenced him to life imprisonment after finding him guilty. That was a good day because we knew that a predator was gone off the streets and in prison where he belonged for the rest of his life.
It was an exceedingly dangerous individual that was on a multi-day violent crime spree. But the crime center was intimately involved every step of the way with this crime. And that made us very proud. Being able to be in a unit that helped orchestrate the capture of this person in our own unique way, with our technology, actively seeing what's going on through a camera lens in real time. It's very rewarding.
On this season of Real-Time Crime, we take an inside look at the nation's best crime-fighting command center. In New Orleans, Louisiana, police desperately search for a cold-blooded killer.
He just casually strutted off.
He was still on the loose in our most populated areas of the city.
In Charleston, South Carolina, a family is left broken.
He basically said, move, I'll hit you, and then shot the gun.
Let's see what happens if we follow this perpetrator backwards.
The suspect is public enemy number 1.
In Farmington, New Mexico, their real-time crime center tracks an active shooter as they try to escape.
I observed numerous gunshot wounds to his body.
If he's gonna fight, it's gonna happen now.
Show me your hands! Show me your hands!
And in Cobb County, Georgia, a criminal lies in wait to kill.
Was this a drug deal gone bad? Was this an assassination?
They knew where they were going and they knew what they were looking for.
And it's all caught on camera.
He's running